Hello, everyone. My name is Marta, and I wanted to introduce Alessandro Giovannucci, who's going to be speaker opening the conference in this concert hall. I'm going to need my notes because without them, I'm just another pretty face, and with them, I'm the source of vast knowledge. Also, people watching the stream, hi, hello. Okay, so you know those short bios that every presenter has to write because then it's in all the information materials. So just so it happens that Alessandro doesn't really like writing them, so I'm gonna have to improvise a little bit. It's also unfortunate that you don't like them because when you're a gifted LARP designer whose LARPs are winning a lot of prizes, and if you are co-creator of Chaos League, and if you organize Sakara Expedition and Bunker 101 and Miskatonic University, you tend to kind of happen to be in a lot of places. But he's also a musician, a lecturer. He promises he's friendly, so you can go and talk to him after the presentation and he'll tell you more about himself.
Thank you, Marta, for the presentation. Thank you, the organizer, for organizing that, and thank you, all of you, to be here. So, I'm Alessandro Giovannucci. Today we will speak about guerrilla and LARP design. So, this is me, young me, fighting me, this one. I think this is one of the coolest pictures I will ever had. It looks like a Advanced Dungeons and Dragons cover book. So it was one of my first lab. I was 14. So why this strange topic? Why LARP and guerrilla? We will see that in a moment. It's the main point of the talk. So at the end, you will tell me if it makes some sense or not. I will hope yes. So it's a slight weird talk. I want to propose more ideas and unfinished thoughts instead of solution or of definition. And please bear with me. We will have fun, hopefully, and we will raise some good point. If you will have any question, please ask that on the go. We'll try to answer on the fly instead of having a question time after the talk. If it's not possible to answer on the fly, maybe we will do that after, or mingling after the talk. But if you have something that really huge to you to say, just raise your hand and I will try to answer and to include that in this talk. So, small warning, if there is someone from the right wing, especially extreme right wing in the room, please, this is the time to leave the room or change your mind, or thank you, or maybe stay and see another point of view. Okay, but it was also a joke. Of course, you are very welcome to be there. I'm talking here more about political, and because we will talk about rebellion and some kind of rebellion. So I hope you will like that. I think we all like rebellion, and we'll see why we all do that. So, just to start with some lefty style, this is a bit controversial, but let's make this game with me. Which one of you prefer, Fidel Castro or Che Guevara? So, now I know that is a strange thing to say in a talk, but please raise your hand if you prefer Fidel Castro, or okay. What about Che Guevara? Okay. Che Guevara wins, as always. We will try to explain why. Also because it was more handsome, of course, but still also for other reasons. So, LARP and guerrilla, let's go more into the details, okay? So, So why this strange relationship? I will try to tell you a story that leads me to this talk, to this presentation. The idea from this talk came to my mind while trying to elaborate some non-classical definition of LARP. I was in a bus, I was very bored, and I was going to a LARP. I was asking myself, why always that? Why always going to this very tiring stuff? What is that motivates me, LARP? Okay, but what is LARP in the end? When we explain LARP to people who are not LARPer, we usually go with like, oh, it's play pretend for adults. It's like you are the hero in a movie, but none of this definition really work. So I try more to go into another direction. Instead of doing good definition, I will try to do unsatisfying, unfinished definition, okay? Because maybe being less specific, being less precise, maybe will help us in having more ideas, more reflection, okay? Maybe something that is unfinished is better for our mind to going around. So, to do that, I had to deconstruct LARP and go to the essential and having this sort of haiku-ish style form of definition of what is LARP. So, nothing is precise, everything is a bit poetic, so is a LARP is a liminal space for gray identities. LARP is a matrix of possible encounters. Is an alibi provided in a responsive environment. Those are invisible structures for interaction. I did this drinking game with my friend, let's drink beer and go more and more vague and weird definition of what is LARP. And try to with your friend, we can try this night, and a lot, but you know, there is always something interesting in everyone, but not every definition is 100% precise, but you know, we can squeeze some meaning instead of inside of all this definition. So, what is important? What are the key elements? What are the essential, the LARP essential? Of course, it can be better, but to try to work around all this definition, I went to some common points, okay? So there are the common points. So LARP needs space, a liminal space, invisible but structural responsive, a space with uncertain. I mean, this castle can be a castle or can be a spaceship or can be the place where my romance will take place or will be the place where I kill in game my brother or this kind of stuff. So it's liminal. It's a space that I can visit after the LARP. And for me, they will have a special meanings. And for the other tourists in the same castle, it's just another touristic spot. So needs human presence. Of course, it's very hard to LARP without LARPer. And, but those identities are gray, are more encounters, are more interaction. I mean, in the end, it's not exactly my character who matters. Matters my character as a device to interact with the other. So me is not just me. It's me plus you and you and you, and there's this kind of collective presence which is made by all of us. We need an alibi. We need a motivation to act. Why should I kill my brother? Because we are fighting for the kingdom, because this, and that. And also, there is, yes, this is where the guerrilla come into my mind at the time. Because is as you know, the difference between war and guerrilla warfare is that guerrilla is an asymmetric warfare. Usually it's a big army against a small amount of rebels. So it's not a fair competition, let's say. It's a competition between opponents of unequal strength. This makes me think about, for example, the difference in the LARP between the organizer who knows everything and the players who doesn't know anything. But they will act more than the organizer, probably. So this can be also seen as a fight. Of course, it's a search for harmony. We need to go together, or the way the LARP falls apart. But we can also think about sometimes the struggle between these two things. Small warning. I'm a non-violent guy. I'm against war, of course, and against violence. But I use the term guerrilla, and I will use some warfare metaphor, not in the sense of celebrate violence, of course, but as we saw in the story, the use of, for example, guerrilla art or guerrilla radio. It's not something about the violence, but something about something that makes you feel the sense of something spontaneous and needed, okay, and active. So guerrilla in this sense, please don't get me wrong. So since we are going in this direction, so artistic guerrilla, let's do something about what are the main features of guerrilla warfare in a real life, not only in a LARP context. Is avoiding pitched battle. I won't do my army against your army because I will be destroyed because I have a small amount. So the guerrilla warfare strategy is very hit and run, beat and run, and appear and disappear and pop up. It's continuous, it's never ending. The war is very clear about now we are in war, now is peace. Now declaration war, now is peace. Guerrilla is not declared, is not ended. We don't know when it will end and if it will end. Is exhausting the opponents, you know, sabotage, giving small thing on a continuous way and unpredictable ways. Small unity, irregular, people that are not professional, which is the case for the majority of LARPers. They are not professional, but they are very skilled. This is a very important feature of LARP community. We are all able to do things on a professional level, even if not all of us are on a professional level. This doesn't happen in many subcultures. Mobile and dynamic and supported by the local population. You cannot have a guerrilla if people are not with you. There is the case in a lot of guerrilla when it fails, it's because you are alone, basically. And we need a lot of complicity in LARP, okay? And needs propaganda and theory continuously. The people that do guerrilla, they have to convince themselves all the time that they are wrong, they are fighting the right fight, because they fight and maybe for 1 year they will do nothing, but still be into the guerrilla. So they need to feed themselves. And we need to feed ourselves with Portal, with Knutepunkt, with books. We need to think and we talk and we reflect about LARP all the time in between a LARP and another. This is also something that is not the case in every subculture. So if we want to go more into a sort of resume, if we want to sum up, it's about communication. A LARP is a lot about communication. It's about solidarity. If you don't have solidarity between the players, organizer, your LARP will fall apart for sure. It's about discontinuity. Luckily, we don't LARP all the time, but we are always in tension between a LARP and another. A LARP is just over, and I'm reflecting on my character. Oh, another LARP is organizing. I start to make my mind about this, my LARP. Yes, we have this problem, I think, all of us. It's very hard to stop it. It's decentralizing. We need to knowing our land. Our land, I mean our environment and also our location on spot. Okay, it's very hard to organize a LARP where you don't know the spot. And also our motivation. We need light manageable tools. It doesn't defend but attack, and it's not linear. This is one of the key points, it's multi-direction. In LARP, it's very hard, luckily, to have a linear narrative. No matter how railroad is your plot, player will do anything, and we all know as a player, okay? There is no way to force player to do what you want, and this, I think, is the best thing about LARP. People try to sabotage your will. And by doing that, they create something. Other ways, we will go in a linear media, which is not the case from the LARP. We are not good, probably, as a writer or a screenwriter or theater writer, but you are very good at interaction. Yeah, we are very good at the interaction, build interaction, basically. So this is about that. So all these points combined, I was thinking while in the bus, seems like a LARP to me, if we have all these things, okay? So, on a more serious note, when I get off to the bus, I saw what is in common between LARP and guerrilla. Complicity, social pact. We really need to understand that we need a social pact, otherwise we don't have a LARP, basically, without consent. It can be any kind of consent, but we need that. We need to be on the same page with the other. Find gray areas where to hide or live in a different way, which means the proper location. Usually our LARP fell apart when the location is not suitable. And we can also try to have a pact with the people, but if you don't have the right place to make this pact true, the pact is not possible to fulfill, even if we want that. And last point, it is all about find a safe space. What is a safe space? Is people that have we talk about safety a lot. So in the bus, I also try to do a definition, very imprecise definition of safety. What is safety? Probably is the pact we have in a space that we can use. A pact without a space is not possible. A space without a pact is just a space, which is very nice, but is not suitable for LARP. So, and usually, without a strong agreement or not using the suitable pace, will make that our LARP end badly. And we all in our organizer career have experience of a shitty LARP we organized. So you can tell me, I can tell you, it happened. Because it's so fucking hard to do a pact with people usually you don't know. So, yes, it's not possible to do that without a pact. And also something that is very important, LARP and guerrilla, they pop up and disappear. They happen and then it's over. It lasts 3 days. It stays for you in your memories forever. I'm sure you remember every LARP you played or organized. No matter how experienced you are, everything stuck in your memory forever. It's frightening, right? But it is this, because it's a strong pact. So I will present you very briefly. I think I have 10 minutes, because until 12:30. It's very hard for me to be really on time as you want. I will try to be not me. So I will present you very briefly some LARP that where this sense of community were strong. This social pact was not only in the lines, but was clearly stated, was basically the part of the LARP. The first one is New Atlantis. Here you have all the details, so I don't need to read it. And these are the most important things. It was a game where we imagine, a post-apocalyptic game where we imagine that the water supply was like near to the end, okay, which is still the case in some part of the world, sadly. So we imagine how about you living your life with 20% less water, then 50%, then just 1 liter per day, okay? What you will do? You will drink it, wash your stuff, or give it to someone who need it, or try to get more water you want. So we play in this community where the water was crucial, and each one of the players just had was in the summer in Italy, so it was a bit hot, and you got just 2 liters of water per day. Of course, there were plenty if you needed as a person, but we asked to the player, try to reach your limit in a safe way, and then if you need more, I can give you more water, but try to feel on your body what happened already to some of people in our planet, okay? So everything was about negotiation, and this was the forum where everyone was about reclaiming free water, and it was the players. He played on a mountain. Long discussion, because now we need to rebuild humanity. We have less resources than before. So what we can do with that? It was a 5 days long LARP. And so all the community working all together, doing all together, and ending the LARP with a party, of course, with plenty of water and also wine. So yes, now I will present very briefly another LARP, which is Bunker 101, which is our, we did that in Italian and international version. It was played on a real atomic shelter in Italy near Rome. It was this huge, incredible location, and we built a town down there. And we imagined that the third worldwide, the atomic war really happened after in the 50s. So there was just these 100 people living underground, and they were all humanity lost. So we need to rebuild humanity again with a scarcity of resources then again. So this was the people working. There were politicians, doctors, explorers, and everything. Please. We discovered this on the internet. We saw that was a museum. Then we went to the guy from the museum, and we spent more than 1 year asking them to give us our location and trying to give them the money. The money was never enough, or there were another thing. And we need to explain what was LARP. That was the hardest part, because I cannot come with my very fancy definition to this guy, okay? So we really need to explain what it was. So but I can give you more details if you want on that. So there were also kids and also elder people, because it was a sense of having a real town. And the dancing, because we need to choose your partner, because not everyone was allowed to have kids, because scarcity of research. So who will have kids? And then working again. This was the president, and the former president, which me on the left. And the radio, because we need to inform our citizen the scary moment, because otherwise, no, it's boring. And the explorer and everything. The control room to see whatever, the exploration in the tunnel, okay? And so, just to use my last 7 minutes, which is a lot. So it's LARP a form of guerrilla, or better say, a form of challenge. Yes, probably, because it's not linear and is not interactive. I mean, what is not linear and not interactive? The enemy we need to fight. Which is the enemy we need to fight? And we fight even if we don't want to fight, or even if you don't know that we are fighting against that, is the linear vertical narrative. Is the hero's journey. Is the only one point of view where you see the protagonist of the movie, where you are mainly passive on your seat. is completely nice. I like cinema, I like all of you, but I don't think the main point of LARP is telling a story as other media can do. We have a very special feature that we need to use, and we need to be aware is a powerful tool in our hand. So basically, we are challenging all the day long with our work as a LARPer the narrative that are not linear and not interactive. Okay, there are in interactive things such some museum exhibit, or I mean, but I will tell you my point, which LARP is not about interaction. It's about co-creation, which is another thing, which is the extreme of the spectrum. Interactivity is a spectrum that goes from the passive audience to the co-creative, and co-creative is the last point of the spectrum. So, which is LARP is against, let's say, not linear, not interactive, everything that lacks a rich variety of different point of view. In a LARP, 100 person, 100 millions point of view, because you have point of view on everyone, so it gets exponential. It's not close, is not probably the most open narrative form ever. I mean, LARP is probably the most open form of narrative ever. It's about co-creation. This changed everything. The fact that it's co-creative makes LARP different from other form. Maybe there are other forms that I don't know that are creative, co-creative as LARP is. I hope to find that, and if you know, please tell me. But I think for now, LARP is the most co-creative I ever found. And it's true, also something important to me, it's true for all kind of LARP, regardless the style, genre, format, and self-consciousness of the designer of the player. We are doing something co-creative, even if we don't know that it is. And we are all challenging the most classical storytelling cliche, even if we don't know that we are doing it. And so we are about to close in 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. So, because we can say that LARP, in this, if is always this changing of point of view of stuff, is temporary social reforms. We are creating other social form of interaction for the length of the LARP. It seems like a very, very guerrilla stuff to me. I mean, propose on a different level, different social pact, and we accept to lose, which is a totally revolutionary act in our society. We're accepting to be the bad guy or the good guy, or to change during the length of the LARP from one role to another. So it's on a different level is this. So these things that LARP are social reforms brings us to the beginning of our talk, because a guy named Ernesto said that. Why does guerrilla fighter fight? We must come to the inevitable conclusion that the guerrilla fighter is a social reformer. If not, is terrorism, which is the bad brother of guerrilla. Okay? So, because sometimes they share the same tool, but they don't share the same goal, which is completely different. So maybe this is why we prefer Guevara over Castro all the time. Because we like social reform, we don't like what? We don't like, in the end, we talk about revolution, we tend to like revolution, but I think we mean rebellion instead. Because, revolution has a problem when it succeeds. We all know that. Guerrilla rebellion don't have this problem because it doesn't get dirty with reality. Guevara died before become some kind of dictator, and he never became reactionary because you died before, like Bob Marley. Luckily he's dead. Can you imagine what kind of crappy featuring Bob Marley would have done today? Imagine that. And so rebellion is the word of infinite possibility, because we know that rebellion will fail, but it will come back again. It's sort of permanent struggle. It doesn't need to win. Like LARP, we don't need to win. We need to do it. Just do it is the first step. We need to. So, if your fight or your LARP fail, don't worry. We will try again until it will succeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next presentation is gonna be Piotr Milewski.